Good morning. I have been out for a couple of days. Haven't done a video, but happy to be back. Today is a special day. Today is Tu B'Shvat, which we would call Chag LaIlanot, the holiday for trees. In fact, today in our prayers, we didn't say confession, Tachanun, which is only said on days, which we don't say on days of celebration. And as the Mishnah states in the tractate of Rosh Hashana, that today is Rosh Hashana LaIlanot. Today is the Rosh Hashana for the trees. On this day, it's customary we celebrate with various fruits that grow on the trees, as especially fruits of the 7 species that Israel was blessed with. As it says in the Torah, a land of wheat and barley, grapevines and fig trees, pomegranates, a land of olive trees, and date honey. So we celebrate. Some people even have a seder where they sit down with all these fruits and they celebrate. But it's one of the stranger holidays. All the holidays in Judaism celebrate something concrete that happened. Passover celebrates our Exodus. Shavuot celebrates the Torah giving. Sukkot celebrates us sitting in huts. Hanukkah and Purim celebrate special things. But what does Tu B'Shvat celebrate? In fact, if you look behind me, you can see the trees. It's full of snow. They're barren. You know, you're celebrating the holiday for trees, yet there are no trees. And the trees won't be around for a very long time. So why are you celebrating Tu B'Shvat today? And of course, the Gemara tells us because in the Holy Land of Israel, on Tu B'Shvat is when the rain of the winter season comes to an end. And the sap in the trees, there's a new energy, a new sap within the trees, which allows it the potential to start budding, to start growing. So although we don't see anything, we're celebrating that potential. But it's ironic, it's strange, because it's like celebrating a bar mitzvah at the age of 9. I mean, you're celebrating the potential that you might have a bar mitzvah boy or girl. Why are you celebrating now? Why don't we celebrate in the spring when the trees are budding or full of vegetation? Instead, we celebrate now. And the answer is a beautiful discussion that I want to give you, which the Rebbe spoke about in one of his talks on Tu B'Shvat, where the Rebbe says that really the power of Tu B'Shvat is teaching us the power of potential. You see, sometimes we only see things that are on the surface. You look outside, you look at the trees, you see a tree, you see it's barren, you say, yeah, what's this tree going to give us? But really beneath that surface lies so much potential. When you see a tree, you don't see the seeds, you don't see the roots, you don't see the sap, you don't see the potential that it has. And it frustrates you. You say, what's the big deal? But really what the Torah is teaching us is that you have to be able to celebrate the potential and utilize that power. You know, today when you look at the way people view each other, the way people look at each other, they always see what's on the surface. And sometimes they don't look a little bit more at the depth of who the person is. And the same is, of course, Ki Adam Eitz Hasada, a man, woman are compared to the tree. The tree might look barren, but it has so much potential. And so is with everything in life. You know, the Talmud tells us something very fascinating. In this week's Torah portion, we learn about the splitting of the sea. The Jews ran away from Pharaoh. They come out of Egypt, and God split the sea for them. And then they sing this beautiful, miraculous song. And if you study a little bit, you know that the splitting of the sea in Judaism takes on a very important role and is one of the most miraculous things that have happened to the Jewish people. And we sing the Shirat Hayam, the song that the Jews sang afterwards. We sing it every single day in our morning services. And in fact, this week's Torah portion, one of the names for this week's Shabbat is called Shabbat Shirah, the Shabbos of the song when the Jews celebrated the splitting of the sea. But what's special about the splitting of the sea? And the rabbis tell us that in a spiritual sense, the splitting of the sea wasn't enough for the Jewish people to run away from oppression, but now they had to split the sea and see what lie beneath the sea. When you look at the waters, when you go to the ocean, when you go to the beach, you see water. But if you go scuba diving and you go under the waters, you see a whole oceanic, you see vegetation, you see minerals, you see fish. Suddenly, there's so much there. And the same is true with a human being, that when you look at the surface, it might not be what's really beneath and hidden in their potential. So running away from Egypt and from Pharaoh wasn't enough for the Jewish people. Now they had to split their sea and see the potential within everything. The Talmud tells us a fascinating thing. The Talmud says that making a shidduch, a match, is as hard as splitting of the sea. Now, the question you might ask, come on, I know it's hard to make matches, and anyone that's dated or knows someone that's dated knows that there's a lot of complications involved, but why would you compare it to the splitting of the sea? And the answer might be because just like with the ocean, when you look at the ocean on the surface, you don't see the entire life and the entire oceana that's under it. The same is true when you think about the human person. When you go date someone, one of the challenges is that people go date and they only see what's on the surface. They don't look what's beneath the surface. They don't look at who the person is, what their potential is, what their character is. And that's why the Torah says it's like the splitting of the sea. It's as hard because once you split the sea, then you're able to find true love, true happiness when you see the potential. And that's really why we celebrate Tu B'Shvat now, not when the trees bud, because it's teaching us the power of potential. I think in Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell says that to become an expert on anything takes 10,000 hours. They interviewed sports sports players and doctors and mathematicians and chess players, everything. In order to be an expert at something, could take 10,000 hours. Think about it. When you see a tree, what's the potential? When you see a human being, when you date someone, when you have a child, do you see what's just lying on the surface, or do you see what's beneath the surface? Think about the earth. Beneath the earth, there's minerals and diamonds and all these amazing things, but when you look at the surface, you don't see it. And that's what Tu B'Shvat teaches us, as does the splitting of the sea, that we have to be able to see beyond the surface and see beyond that which is only relevant, only revealed to our eyes. And when we're able to see that, then we have happy marriages. Then we are able to celebrate the potential and nurture it and not get frustrated when we don't see things in the moment, and understand that it takes time for a tree to bud, for it to have beautiful fruit. It doesn't happen in a moment. And I'll finish with a story. There was a professor growing up in New York who once came to the Rebbe. He wanted to ask the Rebbe for a blessing to find his match. He was older and he hadn't found his match yet, and he really wanted to, but he was coming by dollars. And when you came by dollars by the Rebbe, there was lots of people there, and it was a personal matter. He didn't want to say, hey, I'm looking for a shidduch, so he had to come up with an idea. So he comes to the Rebbe, and in front of everyone, he tells the Rebbe he wants a blessing for Kriyat Yamsuf, for the splitting of the sea. As I told you, the Talmud says that finding a match is as hard as splitting of the sea. So he asked the Rebbe for a blessing for splitting of the sea. And on the moment, the Rebbe said to him, Ki Kriyas Yamsuf. You see, the Talmud says that finding a match is like the splitting of the sea. So the Rebbe right away understood what he was saying and corrected him in a certain sense, saying, yes, it's hard to find your match, but it's not going to be as hard as splitting of the sea. And that was the blessing in a certain sense. And Baruch Hashem, a little while afterwards, he got married and has many children. I'm friends with some of his children, a remarkable family. But it made me think about, one of the blessings we need when we date or when we have children to date is to explain them, not just to see the ocean or the tree on its surface, but to see what's hidden underneath. Hashem should give us that we should always be able to see that which is hidden and bring it into a revealed way full of blessings and happening and joy. Happy Tu B'Shvat. Enjoy some fruit that Israel was blessed with, and may we all be fruitful and successful. Have a great day.